what is renewable gas? Yes, the clue's in the name, really. It is gas that is produced in a renewable fashion. So in the case of something like biogas, you're looking at feedstocks that are renewable, so you're not depleting anything. But I guess in the context that we're looking at here of gas that can enter a shared system, it needs to be biogas that can be upgraded to specification gas, so biomethane, if you like. And the beauty of that is, being predominantly methane, in physical terms, it's almost indistinguishable from natural gas. So it's a direct substitute.
Very nice. And we would also expand that definition to include the use of hydrogen produced from renewable methods.
Absolutely, yeah. So hydrogen, at the moment at least, you can blend it into the gas stream, and you're probably 15-20% hydrogen in there without really disturbing anything else. If you go much further than that, you might need to look at what's happening to it downstream, but the point is there's plenty of scope for blending hydrogen into the gas stream. And what you're doing, whether it's biomethane that you're putting in or hydrogen that you're putting in, you're backing out the carbon from the natural gas that it's displacing.
So the value of renewable gas in New Zealand fundamentally is as an alternative fuel within our existing gas industry. We have a number of organisations, a number of businesses, a number of processes across the country that use natural gas as an input to their operations, and it provides them with real benefits: instantaneous heat, the ability to perform chemical processes, and really productive activities. Now, for many of those organisations, they're very keen to reduce the resultant emissions from their activities, and there's a whole industry set up to provide them with those fuels. So if we can change the environmental impact of the fuel they're using, they can achieve the same activities, achieve the same objectives, and continue to be productive in their daily lives without having that warming effect on the environment.
Sure. So I guess the other good thing is they get to use their existing equipment. There's no need to buy new kit to do the same thing with electricity or some other form of heat. And that's a cost saving as well. So hydrogen is an interesting input into all of this, because as well as potentially being a substitute for some of the natural gas that flows through the system, you see it overseas. It is coming into its own as a transport fuel, and that is just massive in terms of the scope for decarbonisation here, particularly if you look at long-haul trucking and that sort of thing. I mean, not long-haul in the international sense, but long-haul in New Zealand sense. So if you can produce enough green hydrogen and distribute it around the country, then it's well worth investing in hydrogen vehicles and heavy hydrogen vehicles at that. Because there's no doubt about it, you can refuel using gas at pretty much the same speed that you do now with diesel and petrol. And that's, I think, the distinguishing factor between a gas-powered vehicle and a battery-powered vehicle.
And so, worth mentioning, of course, that these two areas, commercial, industrial, process heat and transport fuels, are two of the big emission sources in New Zealand and two of the hard to decarbonise industries. And so some of the potential we see within renewable gas, biomethane, green hydrogen, etc., is in providing a solution that can be implemented in the short to medium term as solutions to these particular problems.
Absolutely. And I think the thing that links with that is for the people who can potentially produce this stuff to be able to extract a premium price for it. Because there's no doubt about it, if you're not paying carbon charges for your natural gas, or your petrol for that matter, then you can afford to pay that much more for the fuel, and the purchaser is left indifferent. And obviously they all want to do the right thing and decarbonise. So, yeah, that's a great option.
So the certification of renewable gas is really important. It enables a gas user to support renewable production directly. It enables them to provide a financial transfer, some additional revenue to that producer in order to help them produce renewable gas and inject it into the natural gas grid. So Certified Energy is committed to developing a renewable gas certification system for New Zealand. We feel that at this point in the conversation it's really important to signal to the market that this facility will be available. We're at a very early point in the process of development, and at this point in time we're seeking feedback about the aspects of certification of renewable gas and what it is that's important to the industry as it grows in New Zealand. So we've published now a discussion paper on some of the key topics that we see as relevant in the formulation of a system for renewable gas certification. That's open for consultation, and we're really keen to hear as much feedback as we can about the aspects of renewable gas certification that are important to gas producers and gas users in New Zealand as they seek to grow this new form of gas production.
So when we think about what the components of a certification system is, or are I should say, it's really about what sort of systems we're looking to support and what are the attributes of those systems, because that's the thing you're going to be certifying. You need to have accuracy, all right? It's really important that the green gas from a facility only gets counted once, and that's really important. One, I suppose, and this is where the consultation is key, is what's the level of detail that is going to be on those certificates. And obviously we can look to what's happening, say, in Europe, things like guarantees of origin and so on, and how those are being put together. But I think we need to also get the information from potential producers, users and so on as to what they would expect to see being certified. And then obviously put all that into the mix and still try and maintain a consistency with overseas standards.
Absolutely, and so it's really important, and the thing that's hard for us to gauge without consultation feedback is what do people intend to do with renewable gas certificates? How are they going to make it? Where are they going to sell it? What are the aspects of their production that they really want to promote and highlight? And so how do we cater for that within the certification system while still meeting all the relevant criteria, as you mentioned, accuracy, reliability, adherence to international standards, to enable them to be successful in their endeavours. So the consultation process is open to absolutely anybody who is a producer of gas, consumer of gas, fan of gas, not a fan of gas. We really want to understand people's views on what the future of the gas industry with a view to the role of renewable gas might be. So all that information, while broad, gives us really distinct information on the key points that we need to consider as we develop this system. The discussion paper is out now, it's available on our website. There are a number of questions specifically that we'd like feedback on throughout that paper, but we're also open to any forms of feedback, any other comments that people want to make. We have a couple of webinars coming up. We've got one this Friday afternoon. We explain the components of the discussion paper. And then we'll go into a process of preparing a response, summarising responses to our questions, and publishing that as well. And then we'll be publishing an initial draft rule set, again for consultation from any member of the gas industry, before we move into the preparation and publication of an initial draft rules program to support certification of renewable gas in New Zealand.
And that makes a lot of sense, getting started early, because obviously we get input from all parts of the market, but also it alerts people like local government and so on to the fact that there are going to be opportunities for them to monetize assets that they currently have. So landfill gas, gas from municipal wastewater and so on, you would expect them to start looking towards the future and how they can actually make some money out of this.
Absolutely.